I'm thinking first we could do Doctor Who costumes, as in
Oh,
Doctor
hells yeah.
costumes.
Yeah, I'm down for that. You know what's ironic actually is that a video I'm probably going to put up today is a Doctor ranking, as in a ranking of the Doctors. It's kind of, ironic that we're doing, ranking things today.
You know what? Maybe this is just how the video starts. I'm sort of liking this free form.
Just having a conversation and then we just carry on as if nothing happened.
No,
I mean,
the was like, fuck it. I think we'll do this today, and that's how it just that's
yeah.
how it intros.
All right.
I'm feeling that.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I'm ready when you are.
okay, so should we go in order? Just each Doctor's costume. What do you think?
All right. Yeah.
Hartnell.
Um,
He's the first
it's
one.
he is the first one. Um, he's a bit of a standard one though, isn't he? Like, don't get me wrong, it's good for what it is, but I would never like say you choose one to cosplay. I'd never
Yeah.
choose to cosplay one. It's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of very generic Victorian man kind of vibes.
He's the default from which the others were built on top of,
Yeah.
sort of.
I do
So
think it improves with the whatever the hat's called and the cape. I think that does add a level of uniqueness to it.
oh yeah, that's what they did for the. I've been watching some Broke Canon.
Mm.
That's what they did for the Godzilla show with the character called Doctor Who, isn't it? They took
Yeah,
the hat
yeah.
and the cape.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is exactly what they did.
I
It's
found
very cool.
I found it so wild that there is just a Japanese show with a clear stand-in character for the Doctor, because I don't think Doctor Who aired in Japan in the 60s.
No, I doubt it would have. So
I'm,
yeah, it is quite cool.
I think the closest place it aired was Hong Kong,
Mm.
but
Yeah, probably.
they sort of kept the costume for Troughton, but they just made him scruffy, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, but like it's still, even though it uses a lot of the same elements, they managed to change it just enough for it to feel completely unique. And I think
Yeah,
that's actually a stroke of genius on their part. Like, I don't know how they managed to use a lot of the same costume, but completely just. I think it's the way Troughton wears it that actually gives it a lot of its charm rather than the clothes themselves.
yeah.
It's the fact that he like wears them like halfway up his body almost, and they're like sort of way too high up his trousers
He-
and
He's very
things like
scruffy in
that.
them.
Yeah.
And this brings up a thing for me that I've always just thought. I don't like how each Doctor sort of just completely. I mean, from Pertwee onwards, I guess, sort of just completely disregards their entire wardrobe upon regenerating and doesn't
Mhm.
wear any of the same clothes anymore. Because
Yeah,
wearing the same clothes doesn't mean you've got to have the same look.
that's true.
Like,
Although, how are they going to sell toys if they all look the same, Jay?
they
You've got
won't
to
all
think.
look the same. Troughton does not look the same as Hartnell, even in like most of the same costume.
No, that's true.
And like when you've got Matt Smith in his raggedy look, that's a
Mm.
completely different look to the one that Tennant has. Now, I don't think it would be a good Doctor look, just man in shirt and tie.
Imagine if
But
that was just his look.
it's still like it proves that you don't
I
need to
think,
replace every article of clothing to have a new dress sense,
yeah,
essentially.
I think we can blame JNT for that, honestly. I think
Yeah.
that was his fault because,
Well,
I, th-
I mean, they
I
were
mean, not his
already
fault.
doing it. They already did it between Troughton and Pertwee and Baker.
Yeah, but I know that, like, JNT in his case, he liked to make the Doctor's costumes feel a lot more like costumes. And in that
Yeah.
sense, like,
I mean, I guess.
almost treating the different incarnations as separate characters in a way, which is
Yeah.
one way of doing it. Like, I do think there should be a level of continuity to it. Like, that's something I quite like about, obviously, the War Doctor, like, he was slotted in, but what I do like is that he kind of takes elements of the fashions from both his predecessor and his successor. He's
Yeah.
got the leather look of Nine, but then also he's got, like, the, what's the necktie thing called? The
Cravat.
cravat. That's the thing. He's got a cravat on his um,
We're going to give him a
shirt.
leather jacket and a cravat, and somehow
Yeah.
it's not going to seem really confusing. But, okay. So, Troughton to
Yeah.
Pertwee is the first, like, oh, we've thrown out the entire wardrobe, and we've replaced it with velvet. Everything is velvet.
Mm.
What do you think of Pertwee's look? Or his
Pertwee's
many
look.
looks?
Yeah, Pertwee's one of those who's like got an unlimited range of looks. I like it. I think I don't know. It's one of those he can pull off pretty much anything. I feel like you could put John Pertwee in almost anything and he'd look cool regardless.
Yeah,
He's
potato
one of the few,
sack.
yeah, potato sack Pertwee. I want that as a thing. But yeah, we could, like he's one of the few men who could pull off like frilled shirts and still look like a badass, and I think that's
Yeah,
really cool. Um,
does sort of
I don't know.
like comparisons to Austin Powers now though.
Yeah, there is a lot of Austin Powers like parallels, and I'm not complaining because I love Austin Powers, but yeah, I think it's suitably like Alien, but at the same time, you'd blend in at a dinner party sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Like you'd look, the bee's knees at like a sort of gathering of people, I suppose. So he's kind of because as well, like I suppose you got to think he was like one of the doctors who spent the most time socializing with humans, and I think I think his outfit does befit that in a way. It still retains like some of his heritage without being too alien and over the top. Like,
It's like
it's not.
he walks
Yeah,
up to you in it, and you're like, "Oh, this is a person, but he's gonna be a character," you know. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think that's exactly the line that's the line. You want someone who's like who walks up to you and it's like, "Oh, this is still a person in their clothes that they wear just because they're a person, but that they are
yeah.
not a normal person." Like,
No,
um, the fifth and sixth Doctors, I think, cross that line of, "Oh, these aren't your clothes anymore. You're going somewhere to a party or something, and you have to wear this."
I feel like the Fifth Doctor just about gets away with it because you can
Yeah,
just be like, "Oh, he's into sport," you know.
yeah,
Um, but like, the Sixth Doctor. I definitely agree. Like that's that's not something an everyday like person would wear or get away with wearing without someone going, "You all right?"
yeah.
Like
So,
without someone at least questioning it.
people being like, "Oh, I wonder what event he's off to for that he is needing to wear that for."
I saw a comic on Twitter the other day that the Sixth Doctor was heading to Pride, and he
Yeah, I
was just
love
so
that
happy
one.
to be at Pride. It's so good. Oh, you know
I
what?
wonder how many people would scream angrily if it was added to the canon that he like bought the jacket at like a Pride parade or something.
At least 50, and they would all be 50 years old. And
I think that would just be kind of cute though, if
yeah,
that's where it
yeah,
happened, if that's how
oh,
it happened.
absolutely, yeah. No, I think it would be great. Yeah, no, I agree.
Um,
Wait,
we skipped
wait,
the
so
fourth. We skipped the
yeah, we skip
fourth.
fourth. I mean, four is just he's just four, isn't he? He's very. I mean, like, what is there to be said about him that you can't already say? Like, he's so iconic in his way, and I know that that's a very stereotypical thing to call him, but he just is. There's a reason that like people of a certain age, when they think of Doctor Who, they think of the scarf,
I think
and they
it's
think,
perfect. It ticks every box that you could possibly need to
Mm,
tick because with he has just like it's not a uniform. He's a person, a real person with a dress sense. He has lots of different clothes that he wears because he's a person, and that's how people are.
yeah,
He's not adhering to a strict dress code. He's always changing, but he's got a specific style that he likes, and that's how people are. But then the addition of the long scarf means that whatever variant of the costume he's wearing, it's still that same iconic look. So
yeah,
it manages to be iconic always. It always manages to be the same iconic look while still being different clothes every time, and just being worn like they are a person's clothes without going over the top into like, oh, I wonder what fancy dress party he's going to, which is exactly like
yeah.
there are
I
so many
agree.
lines to straddle, and it's done all of them perfectly.
Yeah, I think it's one of those as well. I think what helps sell it is just Tom Baker being so like off the wall anyway that he strikes you
Yeah,
as the sort of person who just wouldn't care about what they wear anyway. So I
yeah.
think that's almost like for me that's what also sells it is that like yeah, of course he would wear a scarf that long,
He
you
just,
know?
I feel like he found it once and
Yeah.
thought it was funny, and just
Just 'cause
now is
yeah, exactly.
always wears it.
Here's a question then. What do you think of his season 18 look? Because that's the biggest alteration to his. I mean, it's still got the fundamental silhouette, but like, it does change it. I do think it gives it a more somber vibe. Maybe that's just to do with season 18 though, but like, it does change the feel of the outfit somewhat.
I think it
Um,
looks good, but I wish it was more varied like the other ones were.
mm.
Um,
I do think it does just feel like too much of one color.
well,
I do
yeah,
definitely get that. Like too
it's
much
they turn the
burgundy.
whole thing burgundy and red, and
Yeah,
like, yes, that is the color. But yeah, I
yeah, I
think
agree.
all of the individual items are fine, and the look that they gave him is ultimately fine. However, the problem that I take with it is that it's a uniform that he wears the whole season.
As in the season 18 look. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and that is something, as we said, I think earlier, carried through into the rest of the JNT like
yeah.
incarnations. I think the closest difference would probably be McCoy. I think he had the most variants out of any JNT Doctor, I
And
suppose,
he just changed
because
his coat.
I mean, yeah, but like in the movie, I guess as well, if you count that,
Oh yeah,
he has a bit of a different look going for him. Side note, I really like the Seventh Doctor's look in the movie. I think it doesn't get enough appreciation. I really like it.
I think it's all right.
Fair enough.
I do like that I do like that they updated his look rather than just giving him the same costume he'd been in the
Yeah,
whole time.
I think it would have looked strange if he just rocked up with like, a question mark jumper. Like if you hadn't seen any Doctor Who before, that would have probably looked bizarre.
I mean,
To like,
they could have just made it like they could have given him essentially the essentials of his previous
yes,
costume, but
essential.
they could have given him the battered hat and the big sort of colonial coat.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a hat, I
That's
guess,
true.
in the
I
movie. He just
think,
doesn't really wear it.
um, but yeah, they could have given him a stripped back version of his look, which I think honestly, I think he wore the question mark jumper too much.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things where I think it is like it's style over substance, isn't it? It's trying to have something and it's just too present and it does I feel like in certain scenes it does kind of swallow the rest of the costume in a weird way.
Yeah,
Um like don't get me wrong, I do like the jumper, but I do feel like it does get in I think it fits something like the season 24 McCoy a lot more than it does the season 26 McCoy in
yeah,
the sense that like he's developed so much beyond that point that I can't imagine, the McCoy who blew up Scarrow or fought as Merlin to be wearing that same question mark jumper. It's just it doesn't really accommodate for his character development, is what I'm getting at.
it's so weird to me though that like he was originally supposed to be a comedic incarnation, and then they made him more mysterious over time. When
I kind of like that though.
the thing that they did with him initially was they literally covered him in question marks. It's like,
Yeah,
do you maybe want this character to seem mysterious? I don't know. But they weren't going for the whole mystery thing when they first put him in that, so I guess it's just a coincidence.
yeah.
But
No, it's yeah, no, it's like with the whole, it is very much sort of like it's trying to force a mystery on you, and like the writing, they don't need to have the question marks everywhere. Like maybe like one or two on the jumper would have been fine, but
like
yeah,
I'm fine with it being an article of clothing that he owns and wears sometimes.
yeah. I feel like though it would be more the type of thing you'd wear at a Christmas party,
Yeah.
like or maybe at your birthday when you just don't give a damn and you wear what you want because it's your birthday, like. But
Well,
I just think
I feel like not giving a damn and just wearing what you want is quite Doctor.
yeah, that's true. But I don't know whether I get the vibe that he wears it because he doesn't give a damn, or whether he wears it because he genuinely thinks it looks threatening. Um, and I mean, depending on what situation you're in, it could look threatening. I don't know. I just realized we skipped the other two, didn't we? We skipped.
We sort of covered them a bit.
I mean,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I guess we could like do Davison. I mean, I do like. On one hand, I do kind of like the simplicity of Davison's when you compare it to Baker's. I think that is what they were sort of going for with Davison's incarnation as a whole, wasn't it? It was kind of like stripping the Doctor back to like the fundamentals. Um, I think this. I feel like when they try and make it, when they remind you it's meant to be a cricket thing, I'm a bit less into it. Um,
yeah.
when they just treat it as a costume, I actually probably prefer it. I don't know whether that makes any sense, but it's just the reminder that it's a sports thing. I'm like, I don't know, just the Doctor. being into sports is kind of bizarre to me. Like he's not the sort of person I ever thought would be the type. But then again, all doctors are different. I know that.
They have their sort of weird random interests all each
Yeah.
incarnation, don't they?
Because isn't there like an Eighth Doctor comic book where he goes to the football and he fights the football monster from the Blue Peter competition? I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
That's I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, because I think that was in another Broke Canon. This has just become the Broke Canon show.
The Broke Canon Appreciation Society.
You know what? I'm willing to found that. Love Broke Canon.
The thing,
Yeah.
I'm fine with Five's costuming concept. What I want is for it to feel more like real clothes again, like, which would mean more variants and I guess stuff that I don't know. I guess like the shirt. I don't know what the shirt feels too light. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I think I get what you mean.
The shirt feels like a cheap fake shirt, you know, that someone
Yeah.
bought as part of a costume.
Yeah. I also don't think it helps that how much of it like is almost symmetrical in a weird way, and that like all the patterns match up. It's like that's not a casual outfit you threw together. That's something that's been, designed to look like that. Whereas like say Sixes, for example, whatever you think of Sixes, it does just sort of feel like something he's made himself, and I almost feel like that does add a certain level of charm to it.
I feel like Six would say something like, "This was made by Flambeau Dance, the greatest tailor in all of the planet Kembulon." That would be a quintessential Six line to justify his costume.
Yeah. But like I like to imagine that would be the cover story he would use, when in reality he was just there sewing.
I like that. That adds depth to him. I like that a lot.
No, I just think because I think like Six strikes me as the type of guy who likes to look really cool and sort of commanding in front of people, and then when he's like alone, he's kind of a bit of a sweetheart underneath, which is kind of the case in Big Finish from what I've heard anyway.
I do feel like it is really. I do feel like with the GNT Doctors 5, 6, 7, I do almost get the impression that each Doctor he had the thing that he was trying to replicate, like how iconic the scarf was. So with Davison, it's sort of the celery, right? I'm not sure. Long scarf. Now I wear celery. It's like, look at this iconic thing that could become iconic. And then with Six you've got just the whole thing, and then with 7 you've got the question mark jumper and the question mark umbrella. I do feel like it's a very deliberate. Each previous Doctor had the fourth Doctor had an iconic accessory. We should do that again.
Yeah, I feel like, to be honest, I mean I do love Colin's outfit, if only because it does reflect his Doctor really well. But what I will say is that it does sort of feel like we've had a multicolored scarf.
Yeah.
Now, what about a multicolored coat?
No,
Brilliant,
honestly,
brilliant.
I feel like the coat could have been fine if he'd worn it with other stuff. Like, if he had worn it, in Twin Dilemma, give him the full getup. Sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Twin Dilemma, that's clearly what they're going for. Thoughts about Twin Dilemma aside, the way that they're characterizing the Doctor as sort of distressed and not quite there yet, give him the full getup. Give him the, I feel like some stuff has got to be changed in the execution, but ultimately, when you are trying to make a Doctor who's distressed and still finding his feet, giving him like a bizarre, outlandish costume to start with
Makes sense.
It's good. But I think over his tenure, he should have sort of lost this is a full-on costume aspect of it, and maybe kept the coat, because I do like the coat. I will admit that now. I like the coat.
Yeah.
It's
grown on me, I will admit. I think I got sort of brainwashed by like the Watch Mojos and Who Cultures of the world to say, oh, Sixth Doctor, bad. You know? But like over time I've sort of come to realise that I can't really imagine him in anything else. Like, don't get me wrong, I do like his blue outfit. But that's just because I'm a sucker for the colour blue.
I prefer his rainbow outfit to his blue outfit.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, I
It's
guess
like
it's yeah. I'm
it's
just
so,
a child who likes blue. But
it's so conspicuously like, oh, everyone hates the rainbow outfit. How do we fix it? Let's keep it exactly the same, but only one color. That then it's not a rainbow anymore, right?
yeah, I do like. There's also mock-ups of him in like a black outfit because that's
Yeah.
what he wanted. That's quite cool.
I
Um,
I think give him like a normal suit or whatever, but with the coat on top of it. Like, Tennant has his suit and the coat that he wears on top of it sometimes. I
yeah,
think give
so a
Colin
bit
the same
like I
thing,
guess.
but
Do
the
you
coat
remember
is
like
rainbow.
The Lenny Henry Doctor has something like that where it's like he's sort of rainbowy, but he's just wearing a leather jacket, like that sort of
Yeah,
type of thing. Yeah, I think that would work. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I think we spoke about seven already, didn't we?
we
Sort of.
did. So
Um,
8.
I really love Eight's costume, mainly because it doesn't feel like a costume. I think that's why it works.
Yeah, it's the
It
first
does.
one in a while that doesn't feel like a costume,
Yeah, and
which is weird because in
I'm one
canon
of
it
these
literally is
people.
a costume.
Yeah, no, literally. But I'm one of those people who actually prefers his movie look to his Night of the Doctor look. That might be a hot take, I don't know. But
No,
so
I prefer it too.
there's something so like he just feels like a time traveler to me. Like if I was to meet a time traveler and you would point someone out and go, "That's a time traveler," Paul McGann as the Eighth Doctor, that's what I would sort of imagine. Like that sort of look, like that H.G. Wells type
Yeah,
Victorian vibe would be the exact sort of thing that I would imagine when you think of a time traveler. And I think he just pulls it off so well. It's just eccentric enough to feel like iconic, but not so eccentric that it feels over designed. I think it works really well.
I feel
Um,
like it's the natural follow on from 3 and 4 rather than 5, 6, and 7. In
mm,
that the third Doctor had his sense of style. The fourth Doctor had, and they were all sort of men at a time, even
yeah,
though they were clearly influenced by their time. The third and fourth Doctor wore just sort of these bizarre and old timey suits, and the Eighth Doctor goes back to that, and it's almost a sort of refined version of that. It is pure. It is purely that.
I feel like when they do like multi-Doctor stories. I feel like if the first three Doctors were to pick which Doctor they thought looked the best, they'd probably pick McGann.
Yeah,
In the sense that like he does, feel like the refined and the sort of best dressed of them all, and kind of in keeping with that design philosophy of as you said, like a man out of time. Um, yeah, I really love McGann's like look. I think it just works on so many levels. And I do think it loses something when they go all, it's the same, but now it's sort of crumpled and dirty. I just don't think it looks as good, to be honest. Um,
the thing is, they never got to either ruin or improve it by giving it different variants as well, because you
yeah,
only got the one on-screen version.
isn't it meant to be green?
It is green, I thought.
Because I never see it as green because I've got like a little set of figures at the top, like where I'm like looking right now. Like on my wall, there's like a shelf of figures, and I've got like all the Doctors there. And on the figure, McGann's coat looks more black than anything.
Well, he's got
Um,
he had a variant in like the comics with a blue coat.
mm, yeah, I think I've seen that. I don't know. I think if it was bright green, that would sort of detract from it. Like some things do depict it as like bright green,
No,
or like
it's sort of a dark green, I think.
yeah, or at least they depict it as more of a overt green than I think the movie does. I think the movie's like it's got one of those fabrics where it looks green in certain lights, but like it's not overly green. I don't know whether that makes any sense, but I don't think green immediately when I think of his costume. Um, but that might just be my eyes. I don't know.
All right, so 9. Or do you have anything substantial to say about War that we
I
haven't
think
said
I
already?
said most of it
Yeah,
already. Like the thing I will say is like I said before, he fits his purpose as the in between point. I do like the imagery of a doctor with like a war belt. I think that's quite cool.
yeah.
On a very sort of superficial level, I do think that looks cool. But yeah, beyond that, uh, it doesn't feel like a costume, which is, I think that's something that we've sort of said is a good thing.
Clothes that he just has.
Yeah, and it does feel like it's more functional than anything else, which I think makes sense for the situation that he's in. He's fighting a war. He's not going to be looking at whether his costume's fashionable or not, whether his outfit's fashionable or not. So yeah, I think it works for what it is.
The thing I don't vibe with is the very clearly styled hair.
Yeah.
I feel like they could just give him scruffy hair and it would suit his character better.
Do you reckon they have hair gel on Gallifrey?
I wonder think they just naturally have very spiky hair.
Yeah. I mean, that explains Tennant, to be fair.
Well, he had it when he regenerated. So, he doesn't put gel in. He either he regenerated gel into his hair, or that's just what his hair grows like.
Yeah, some incarnations or Time Lords just come stock with gelled up hair, and that's something you got to accept. It's like how you said in your video, you can regenerate and have eyeshadow. That's just something that happens.
That's funny. I wonder if that's supposed to be the coloration of her skin, or if she can actually wash that makeup off and it just appeared on her face as she regenerated.
Yeah, it's weird when you think about it, isn't it?
I feel like this is the kind of thing that people would say, you're thinking too much about this. And I'm like, I don't... They're the ones who decided to put her in makeup when she was essentially born.
I was always that kid whenever we watched anything. I was like, well, why is this a thing? And they're like, no, you're thinking too hard. It's like, no, I'm not.
I became that kid more recently.
Fair enough. Yeah. But no, it functions, but I can see what you mean about the hair. But I haven't really got much more to say about it. I think that's my sort of opinion on the War Doctor as a whole. It's he serves his purpose, I guess.
The weird thing to me was that he was the first Doctor with a beard, which just sort of... there was no way this was ever... No, to be fair, Matt Smith grew a beard before he appeared. But there was just always this idea in my brain that maybe Time Lords can't grow facial hair.
Yeah.
That was just a thing that I thought. And it stopped me from thinking that.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, how would the Master's beards grow?
Oh, I forgot about the Master my entire childhood.
Oh, no. Jay's a fake fan, everyone. Everyone go dislike the fall of... No, that was a joke.
I do like the idea that the Master would wear a fake beard.
Yeah. He just draws it on.
It's a Sharpie beard.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think we've actually made the looks of these characters inadvertently better by the backstories.
Yeah.
The idea that, Nick sewed his own costume, but, made up this grand story for it, and the idea that Delgado, was just there, drawing on his own beard. Same goes for Ainley as well. In fact, if anything, Ainley's looks more drawn on of the two. But, yeah. So 9, again, I feel like 9's works perfectly well for, where he's at as a character. I would also say, I think this has already been said, by pretty much everyone who's talked about, costumes, but it's the one that would seem most normal if you were out on the street.
Well, yeah. He's a guy that you wouldn't look at twice if you saw him just walking down the road.
No.
If you did look at him twice, you think, oh, his jacket looks nice or something. You wouldn't be thinking, I wonder why he's wearing that.
Yeah. I have one of these leather jackets now, and I'm not going to lie. I am tempted to just go out one day wearing it.
The full getup.
Maybe, but no one would know it was a Doctor Who reference unless they were like, that looks vaguely like the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston from 2005. But, on the off chance that happens, I'll be like, yeah. But, I think generally you can get away with wearing that and no one would really think about it.
He's one of those characters that you can just get away with cosplaying outside in the normal world if you want. Because, to be fair, you can do whatever you want. No one really is gonna do anything. But
screw society. I'm gonna go out to the Shulker Doctor. Let's go.
Oh, that's a good look. To be fair.
Yeah. It's the Shulker. Oh yeah, we should cover that actually. Should we talk about the Shulker Doctor?
I don't have much more to say about it other than it's a great look. It's sort of clearly influenced by previous Doctors, but not so much that it's not its own thing. And that's great.
I think the visual style of the actual animation actually makes it feel more unique. I feel like if it was a live action thing, it might not look as good.
Maybe.
Or at least it wouldn't look as distinctive as it does in animation. But yeah, as it is, I really like it. It's very what do you call it? Like it feels sort of imposing in a weird way. I think it's just the way he wears it. Um, like I could imagine being threatened by that. If you were like a kid or something and you saw Schalke Doctor walking down the street, you'd sort of think, "I'm not messing with that guy," or you know, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just the vibe I get. But
I don't
yeah,
know. I feel like I'd sort of think, all right, Dracula, especially
yeah,
with
yeah.
Richard E. Grant wearing it.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, nine. Yeah, I think we said that he's the most normal looking.
fits where
Um,
he's at mentally. He sort of does away with all of the frills and the quirks, and that's just his Doctor because of where he is in his life.
have you seen the concept art though of him with like a neck thing? A neck. It's
Um,
like a
a
jumper with
turtleneck.
like a yeah turtleneck. That's the one. I can never remember names of clothes. Yeah, turtleneck.
Yeah,
That
I've
looks
seen that.
bizarre.
I couldn't.
Uh,
I saw that picture, and I couldn't put my finger on what was wrong until I saw the caption of "Turtleneck Nine is cursed." I'm like, "Oh fuck, that is a turtleneck." It was just
yeah,
something looked off.
I reckon that's what he wore the first time. Like if like, because obviously we know that like nine only had one series, but obviously in my head they last much longer than they do on television. So in my head, if Rose invited nine to Christmas, that's what he would wear. And I kind of like the idea of that being his festive look, which is just the same thing but with a turtleneck.
I do think they should have given him more variants. I don't like that all of his different clothes are just color swapped versions of each other.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like,
And
he could have had a shirt one episode and like maybe some different colored trousers or something. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. I'm not gonna disagree there. Yeah, no, I completely yeah. So I guess 10 next.
Speaking
I
of cool but needs more variants,
10. I mean, yeah, I think the thing with ten's costumes is that they do all blend together in
that's
like
true.
my head. I think like a lot of people say, "Oh, which one do you prefer? Like the blue one or the brown one?" And I'm just like, I can do either, really. Like,
He
you
does
know,
wear them in different ways sometimes. Like he'll have a t-shirt under some of them occasionally, and I like that. I like that change, but I feel
yeah,
like he only has like two pairs of trousers canonically. Like,
yeah, that's strange. I also, this is like a side note, but I do appreciate that when he was in Sarah Jane Adventures, he looked like he does on the show because it always bugged me as a kid when they got Matt Smith on Sarah Jane Adventures and they put him in this bizarre shirt that he never wore in the show before. And I'm like, but that doesn't look right. It almost sort of looks off brand in a way, like a sort of knockoff version. So I do appreciate that in the spin off they keep him consistent. But then equally, you could argue that sort of contributes to the point that you were saying,
yeah, it
which
doesn't.
is
Well, I mean, the place to give him variants isn't to just only do it in the spin-off, I guess.
yeah,
'Cause
I think
that'll
that's
make
what,
it feel more disconnected from the rest of the show.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, Ten's outfits. I think some people have called it like the sort of like maths teacher doctor costume, and I don't know whether I'd go that far, but I do see what they're saying.
well, the look
Like,
they were going for was Scruffy Student.
yeah, yeah, and I do think it accomplishes that. Although I don't know whether if we use the analogy, if I saw him in the street, would my immediate assumption be scruffy student?
No, he's sort of too old, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I would go more sort of supply teacher type
Yeah,
type thing.
I
Um,
do like that about him.
yeah,
The
I
the
do like
suit
that.
the suit was like tailor made, I think, to seem not distinct to any era, and that does work as well. It's sort of this
Yeah,
19 earlys suit, but you can't pin it down anywhere, and also it's pinstriped, which does make it seem quite 2000s.
yeah, it does feel quite timeless, which is something it has in its favor. I will say though, someone pointed this out, like, and you mentioned it about her earlier. The hair would not blend in certain time periods. Like someone mentioned it with Human Nature, Family of Blood. Like, yeah, he blends in outside of that. Like someone would have mentioned, why have you got spiky hair? This is like 1912. How did that happen?
How did that happen?
Yeah, like someone would have asked that question. But like, yeah, outside of that, it's okay. It's never gonna be like I think that's the thing with Ten. You know, I love Ten and I love his stories, but like I the more time's gone on, the more maybe it's just because the show feels so reliant on him, but I think I've just become less and less enamored with Ten as a whole, and I think that does the costume is a part of that as well, where it does just sort of feel like I don't know, a tad generic perhaps.
Maybe.
I don't maybe.
He needed more scruffy substitute teacher looks, really.
Mm.
He needed more suits or more.
It
more
looks better with the
things.
coat, I'll say. Without the coat, it does just sort of look like a suit with.
Well, it is.
Yeah, that is essentially what it is. But like, that's what I mean. I guess the Converse add to it a little bit. But yeah, no, I would have liked it to be a bit more distinct.
Apparently, they were originally going to put him in Japanese army boots, and I would really have liked to see him in that look.
Yeah, wasn't it Tennant's idea for the Converse?
Yeah. He wanted something that was. I'm citing the Cleverdix Films video now, by the way.
Yeah, no.
That's where a lot of this information is coming from.
That's actually where I got the anecdote about the hair from as well.
So
oh my God.
I think it's that he wanted the shoes because he wanted something that would be easier for fans to cosplay. I do respect that. I do respect that decision. I think that though the ultimate takeaway is that every Doctor wants a variant that's easy for fans to cosplay, but they don't need every variant to be easy for fans to cosplay.
I think that's fair. I will say, like, I do like him in Nine's outfit.
Oh yeah, he looks great.
Yeah, he does really wear the leather jacket well. I feel, but yeah,
Doctors that look great in the previous Doctor's outfit go 6, 10. 13.
Yeah, 13 looks way better in 12's outfit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've always thought that. But yeah, so 11, I really love 11's sense of style.
I like it as well.
And he has my favorite variant's got to be the 7B. It's just it has the same vibe that I spoke about earlier with the 8th Doctors, where it's like that feels like a time traveler to me, but it does also fit with the eccentricities of 11. Yeah, I really like his sense of stuff. But even like his Series 5 outfit.
I like the 7B costume. What I would want them to do with it is to sort of have it be is to instead of have him like one day suddenly switch from the tweed to the 7B costume, to have it be like that's him dressing up and the tweed is him dressing down. I think I would have preferred that.
Okay, yeah, I kind of see that. I do find it kind of weird, like as you said before, like with when we spoke about when Doctors regenerate, how they just completely bin off the previous costumes that they wore. I do find it kind of weird in Bowser St. John, where he just, because he, and I get what they're doing because he, lost Damien Rory, so it's meant to be symbolic of him moving on and growing, but like, I do find it kind of weird that like he just drops his old coat that he's been wearing for years and just never looks back.
Yeah.
Like, surely even
he had multiple coats, I think. Yeah,
but like I'm just mean like in that one scene where he's like picking between the two coats.
Oh
and
yeah.
The tweed, and then he like never, But he did have. I'm not a big fan of the Series 6 coat, the greenish one.
Yeah, in Series 6, in Series 5 they dress him up in the sort of they dress him. The Series 5 and Series 6 is weird because people think it's the same look and it's not. It's the same clothes, but in Series 5 he's really scruffy, and in Series 6 he's wearing them like he's all pruned and wearing them very properly.
It's a smooth Matt Smith.
Smooth Matt Smith. Yeah.
It's,
creamy Matt Smith.
Oh god, creamy Matt Smith. I don't know whether that's something. Oh, creamy Matt Smith. That's not something I've ever heard Matt Smith described as. It's creamy.
Oh, have you not seen the picture of the Rebel Flesh merch?
Oh, that's true. But I feel like people just call that the cum doctor.
Cream would be the nicer word to use.
That's true. Yeah, I prefer cream to that, to be fair. But I mean, just generally. But yeah, I love 11's outfits. But then again, I've thought like 11 is my favorite.
You know what?
So I might be biased.
I would have. You know what I think would have been good development for him if they at some point let him just not always wear the bow tie.
But like, I know that like we said about before about how Doctors wear costumes, but like I kind of have the same feeling about the bow tie as I do with the scarf.
Well,
In
Tom
that
didn't always wear the scarf. It's just iconic because he wore it a lot.
I can't think of what stories does he not wear it.
Talons of Weng-Chiang springs
Oh
to
yeah, he
mind.
wears like the detective outfit,
He
but I feel
has
like that's more a variant of like a completely different costume.
he certainly takes it off at some points in stories. I know that there are I know that he's the thing is as well though it's so like it's not the same thing. The bow tie is just a normal piece of clothing that people wear, but like it feels
Yeah,
like the 11th Doctor is trying to make it his thing, but the
yeah.
Doctor doesn't need to
Although
try and have a thing.
you got to admit though, it did work because like wasn't there like that statistic that bow tie sales like shot up because of the 11th Doctor? I love that. So it did sort of work in that respect, and it doesn't feel like they're trying too hard to make it a thing. Like I feel like when you mentioned earlier about like the celery and about the coat, that those feel like much more extreme examples of trying to make something a thing. I think what works about the bow tie is that it does feel
Oh,
like a
I'm not
relatively
talking
normal
out of
piece.
universe this time. I'm
Oh
talking
right.
in universe. I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
he wants the bow tie to be his thing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, I see what you
and I
mean.
feel like he talks about he talks about the bow tie a lot in his first season, and I feel like it would just sort of, to me at least, it would feel like he'd grown up a bit to see him in
Mm.
his later seasons just
Does he
casually
wear
not wearing a
one?
bow tie because he doesn't feel like it today.
I think the only few times I can remember him not wearing one. Funny enough, Bells of St. John again. He briefly wears the monk outfit. Um, in Crimson Horror, does he wear one?
I think
Because
so.
he's in a different outfit for that, isn't he? He's in like a bowler hat and stuff. I can't think of
I,
whether he
I
wears
think he
both.
does. I think he
I
does.
think you are right. Yeah. Um, but yeah, outside of that, I'm trying to think if there's
Yeah,
anywhere else.
I like
I
his
guess
outfits, but
I guess his
essentially,
opening in 11th hour as well, but then that would be it. I think.
essentially my notes would be on the 11th Doctor's outfits. Don't have the sudden switch from one to the other. Just have him dressing up and dressing down, and over
Either
the
that or
course of
have
the
it be like a
seasons. Hmm?
slow, either that or have it be a slow sort of
Yeah. That would
progression.
work.
Yeah, where it's
Um,
like each episode, it just sort of becomes less Tweed, more 7B, I guess.
and then also I would have him wear the bow tie a bit less towards the end of his run, but still keep
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think it works in Time of the Doctor though, where for the first time he sort of takes off the bow tie and it's like, oh no, he's leaving.
I
It's
hated
sad.
that.
I like that. See, that's yeah, I liked that moment, but
To me,
maybe
it
it's
felt like I don't know because maybe it's because when I was a kid, I did the sort of look at me, I've got my thing affectations quite a lot. It's like I wanted to make this my thing, and everyone would see that and be like, "Oh, look, that's the thing, right?"
yeah.
And it just reminded me of the kind of thing so much that I feel I have grown out of, and I can just wear what I want to wear now without
Oh
trying to.
yeah, I'm in that period already. Like I just do not give a damn about what I
Yeah.
wear at all.
Um, which is why like I guess because he reminded me of that part of myself, I would have been nice to see him grow out of it rather than him taking it to the grave essentially.
I see that. I don't know. I think it's just like a sign of him, I guess, accepting that it's time to move on. I
I
don't
was
know.
like, I
I
don't,
liked it. That's just,
I do and
um,
I do feel
but
though
yeah,
that it's like he does wear it for
I like
him.
Eleven's outfits.
I am fine with the idea
Should
that he
we move
wears
on
it
to
for him.
12? Something I found weird about 12 at first, but it did grow on me, was the fact that there was nothing on his shirt, like, at all. Like, it did grow on me afterwards.
How do you mean?
Well, like, how... I think it's just because you get so used to seeing a bow tie or a tie or something, or a cravat. Having just a shirt underneath his jackets was
The
kind
no
of weird.
neckwear Doctor.
Yeah, that was weird at first, but it did sort of grow on me, I think. And I do think that 12 has some of the best, like, you know,
I feel
fashions,
yeah.
for the Doctor. Something I really like about his Doctor is that he's not afraid to just wear comfortable clothes,
Mm.
like wear a jacket just because he feels like it. Wear some-
I do. I'm not sure whether I like or not the fact that sometimes he just does feel like a bloke on his way to work.
Yeah, I think for certain, I think sometimes I'm like, oh, I want you to wear like the sort of thing you would wear in like World at Every Time, where he's like, wearing a really nice suit. But then other times I'm like, yeah, I kind of dig you just wearing a jacket. I kind of relate to the idea of not wanting to wear, a fancy suit, I guess,
Yeah,
and just wanting to
I like
feel.
that he has his the same sort of style, but he has dressing up and dressing down versions.
Yeah, I mean that's what you said you wanted for 11, so I guess it works.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, what's your favorite Capaldi variant? Have you got a favorite?
my favorite 12 variant is probably the blue waistcoat one that they give him in the pilot.
Yeah, I think I remember which one you're on about. Yeah, that one's quite nice. I honestly quite like his initial look. I also quite like his Heaven Sent, the
Yeah,
the red. I quite like that as well,
but
and I quite like his final look as well in
I do
yeah,
really just
World Metal
like him
Time Doctor Force. Uh,
in like relatively smart trousers, t-shirt, and jacket. Like he's just being himself. Then that's what he's wearing. Like I like that.
yeah, yeah, I do. I think I wish actually, if anything, I wish they'd lent into that a bit more. Like I feel like just about when they sort of decided to nail down that this doctor doesn't really give a damn about what he looks like. Yeah, 12, I do get what you mean though about liking the sort of informality
I,
of some of his outfits.
I'm not. I don't really. I mean, I think the basic outfit, like the concept behind the outfit, is just fine. You know, it is. Those are fine choices for clothes for a doctor to wear. But the thing, it just excels in the way that he wears it and the way that they
Yeah.
vary it, and
Yeah.
everything else about it is exceptional in the way that it's executed.
Mm.
And to me,
One
that's
of
much
his,
more important than what the actual overall look is.
I quite like the Monk trilogy coat where it's like grey and sort of got like lines in it.
Yeah, I
I
like
quite
that one.
like that look. Yeah, I like that one. Um, all right, 13. All right, I'm just gonna come out and say it because neither of us particularly like this incarnation. It feels over designed.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it
another
feels.
JNT costume, really.
Yeah, I definitely did get that vibe when it was first revealed. I was like, huh, does feel a bit Sixth Doctor-y in a way. I mean, I don't know, that might be because of the rainbow. Um, but like, yeah, it does. I don't really know what the thought process, like in universe, I'm talking about now. Like when she was in that charity shop, what made her go grade coat, rainbow jumper? Like, what was the connective tissue behind that choice? I want to know.
I don't know if we can say that for any. I don't know if we can say what the thought process was for any Doctor's outfit, but I don't really.
Yeah,
I just the thing is that it's very. It is very sort of color coded in the bright blue trousers, the bright blue suspenders or braces or whatever
yeah, or yellow
England
braces could
English
also
people
sometimes.
say.
Yeah,
Uh, and the thing that really just takes it down a thousand places for me though is the fact that it's apparently she has 1,000 different variants of the rainbow jumper.
yeah. I remember you. I think you were in like a Twitter conversation about this.
Yeah, with Mr.
Um,
TARDIS.
yeah, I
That
saw
was.
that on my feed. I was like, yeah, it is kind of weird that she's just got 1,000 versions of the same. Then again, I say that I have about 4 different variations of like the same Adidas top.
That's
So
fair.
maybe I can understand it a little bit more.
But it does feel like she found this one thing in a charity shop and then scoured the world for all of the other, or any other similar piece of clothing, so that she can
Yeah.
very conspicuously, technically be changing her clothes, but not be losing her iconic look, so to speak.
The rainbow jumpers copyright me through forever. It's my iconic, unique look.
I do feel that a lot of costume designers for the Doctor are too worried to let them lose what they perceive to be the iconic part of the look.
Yeah, I actually some of my favorite 13 variants are the ones without the rainbow jumper, i.e., the Spyfall look and also the haunting ability of Darty.
I'll agree on the Villa Diodati look. I think the Spyfall look is just sort of it does what it does. It's fine.
Maybe it's just because it gave me Matt Smith vibes, and we've already established I'm sucker for Matt Smith. So yeah, but beyond that, like I always envisioned when they announced Jodie, I always envisioned her in like an Edwardian outfit because I think that would just look cool. But
I
what
like a
they,
lot of the different fan art that was done of her in different
yeah,
outfits. A lot more than what they actually revealed.
I feel like what they went with was kind of like what do people like in Doctors? They like a long coat. they like wacky colors, um, suspenders. You know, it's kind of like trying to boil down the sort of, I guess, the elements of the more iconic Doctors into one thing.
Mm.
And in a weird way, I sort of feel like it loses a bit of its own identity. Like, it does look different to the others, but it almost does sort of feel like an amalgamation of the others as well. It's very difficult to describe.
Like her
but I think you get what I'm trying to say.
character.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, yeah. But yeah, I think you get what I'm trying to say, where it just doesn't, almost doesn't feel like its own thing. It feels like, you know...
We're just talking about the era now.
Yeah, I mean, you could use this as an entire, like, actually, we sort of said that, like, the costumes, in a weird way, do sum up, like, their respective Doctors, and by extension, I guess, the periods of the show. So, I guess 13's being an amalgamation of everything else is kind of topical.
Yeah.
No, that's
Hot
what
take.
I call it in a conflict, am I right?
I like that we got to end with the hot take. The hottest of takes, 13th Doctor bad.
No one's ever said that before.